So could AirPower be entering production today? According to a leak we got a couple weeks ago, and I throw that term around pretty loosely, a leak suggesting that the company who develops Apple's AirPods and several other Apple accessories in the past has confirmed AirPower has been figured out, they've fixed the heating issues, and it is now entering production on January 21st. Now, even if this ends up being true, keep in mind that entering production is a very early stage in the process. For instance, Apple doesn't start mass producing iPhones until around summer, which can be a good 4 to even 5 months before the product's actually unveiled. So just because AirPower theoretically could start being produced today, and as you're watching this video, they're at the factory manufacturing these devices right now, they might not still be coming out until WWDC or till the iPhone event. But on top of that, I'm back again to lower your expectations and tell you why I don't think AirPower is coming out this year at all. Let's begin. So a lot of people reported on that leak because a lot of people are really looking forward to AirPower coming out. I particular don't really think it's that big a deal. I think a lot of people are getting excited over a phone charger, but personally, I want AirPower to come out so that the questions will stop about it. Still, every single day we get comments and references to people saying, but AirPower's not out, where's AirPower, where is AirPower? And it just keeps on coming out. It just keeps on being pushed out, and I'm kind of sick of kind of the dead meme that is, where is AirPower? So if it came out, hopefully that meme would die. I know some people would keep it carrying on for a little bit longer, but I'm just ready for it to come out so that we can shut up about it, and then it'll just be one of the charging accessories on Apple's website that took way too long to come out. But it's out now, and then we can all stop talking about it. But I was looking for one particular tad bit of information that could either help or not help the case of AirPower coming out in 2019, and that was the release of the iPhone XS and XR battery cases, which of course, I have purchased one myself. If you don't follow me on Twitch, then you missed the unboxing live stream. It was a lot of fun, and I'll be reviewing this battery case shortly. I'm just trying to use it in a couple of different ways before I actually make a video on it, and then I can tell you truly what I think of it. But because I found out that the battery cases supported wireless charging, I was very interested to see what would the instructions, what would the paperwork say on the inside of the battery case boxes, and would they make mention of AirPower? And if they did, I think that would be really good evidence to suggest that Apple releasing these accessories in 2019 says, go ahead, make mention of AirPower, because then AirPower will come out and the instructions within the battery cases will be up to date, and they will say you can drop the battery case on AirPower or a Qi certified charge mat, similar to what the instructions on the inside of the iPhone XS and XR packaging said, which is a lot of people's go-to response whenever I tell them that AirPower's dead. They removed most of the mentions from the website. There's only a couple places now that you can actually see AirPower mentioned by name, but a lot of people kept going back to, well, it's in the instructions though. It's in the paperwork that's in the XS boxes. And my go-to response to that claim is always that, well, like I mentioned earlier, iPhones enter manufacturing months and months and months before the Apple keynote happens in September. So when they were printing out the instructions and when they were writing up those documents for the iPhone XS, that was probably in summer of last year. And back in summer, Apple had every reason to believe that AirPower is probably coming out pretty soon. It still had a dedicated section of the website. A lot of the engineers and probably marketing people were assuming AirPower is still coming out in 2018 at some point, just like most of us viewers here on YouTube were expecting AirPower to come out at some point in 2018. So that's why when they were typing up the documents for the XS and XR, they included AirPower. They thought it was going to come out at some point in 2018. Well, clearly Apple was wrong about that, as there is no AirPower now in 2019. So that's what made me extra curious about the release of these battery cases. If they included mention of AirPower, then we could have a different discussion and we could say, okay, Apple's anticipating that AirPower might be released soon, and maybe because they figured out the design and now they're mass producing it, they'll include AirPower in the instructions. But a lot of you guys know the end of this story. There is no mention of AirPower within the paperwork. These battery cases that we all unboxed a couple days ago all say they support wireless charging, and all you have to do is drop it on a Qi certified wireless charger. And they make no reference to AirPower, which in my opinion is more evidence to suggest it's not coming out in 2019. And Apple likely is running into so many overheating or software problems with it, just like we talked about all last year, that I think month after month after month, we're going to see less and less mentions of AirPower, and it's just going to kind of fade away into non-existence. Of course, I could be wrong. I really do hope I'm wrong. I hope that right now, as we're speaking, they're working on AirPower and making lots of them so that they will have plenty for people to buy in either summer or September, whenever the next Apple keynote is. But I can't help but think if Apple had figured out AirPower and they were ready to start mass producing it, why wouldn't they include it in the battery case instructions? instructions. That doesn't make sense to me. You could probably counteract my point and say, well, Drew, when they started manufacturing the battery cases, they didn't think AirPower was going to come out, but since they've started releasing the battery cases, now they think AirPower is going to come out. And you know what? You could be entirely right about that. I have no way of proving this because the people who leak all of this stuff from the inside are only telling us so much right now, but I can only think that Apple has approached a dilemma when it comes to AirPower because they're thinking, well, crap, this thing has heating issues. It gets way too hot when charging multiple devices. So the only solution we can think of is add more fans to it so that it can cool itself down like many other Qi chargers do. But in order to add fans to it, it means that AirPower is way thicker, way bulkier than it was advertised back in 2017 when they announced it. And Apple isn't having that. Apple's not about teasing the release of a product and then releasing something that's actually 2 times thicker. Even though that 2 times thicker version of AirPower is the only way they can actually release it, is the only way they can actually make a working version. And they're torn between what to do. Do we can AirPower release something that's kind of like it, but under different branding? That way we can excuse the more clunky design. Or do we not release it at all because it's not what we promised in 2017? It looks drastically different. And they're likely still bickering about this topic and what they need to do about it to this day. But it's fun to imagine. It's fun to pretend, particularly when you start getting insider information that tells you AirPower is entering production on January 21st. It kind of makes you go, oh, wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be cool? But the battery case instructions make no mention of it. Apple's not hyping up the release of it on their website anywhere, so that's why I'm saying no, AirPower's not entering production today. But I hope I'm wrong. Let me know what you guys think is going to happen down in the comments below. This is your Apple Sheep here. I'll see you in the next one.